sometimes we like to round numbers. Sometimes it's to avoid a really long decimal, like you see this is like 5 decimal places. Sometimes we do it to avoid that. Sometimes we do it just to get like a better idea of kind of like a big picture of a number, but we can round to any place. So like here, this is the ones, right? Like this means there's 2 of something, right? And then this is the 10. So like this means like this is 10 cookies plus 2 more cookies, right? That's 12 cookies. This is the hundredths place, the 1,000, 10,000, and 100,000s place. And then over here, careful because it's pronounced, right? This is the tens, this is the tenths. So this is 1/10 of a cookie. So if I divided a cookie into 10 pieces, this would be 3 of them. This is hundredths. So this is, if I divided a cookie into 100 pieces, this would be 7 of them, right? So I have 3/10 of a cookie and 7 hundredths of a cookie. You could also say that's 37 hundredths of a cookie. Thousandths, 10,000ths, and 100,000ths. The 2 most common places to round to are the tenths and the hundredths. Pretty common. Today we're going to be rounding to the nearest tenth for when we do calculations. So just a reminder, what you do is let's say I want to round to the nearest tenth. You find the digit. So like in this case, let's say I'm going to round to the nearest tenth, or we're also going to round to the nearest hundredth. You look next to it. You look to the one to the right, always to the one to the right. And then if this number is 5 or higher, you round up. So like this 37 would become 40 basically, right? So this 3 would become a 4. So in this case, if I were to round this one to the nearest tenth, that would be 12, like let's just call it 12.4, right? Now, if this was a number that was lower than that was 4 or less, I would round it down. I would keep it at 3. So let's say I were to round this to the nearest hundredth. Now I would start at this digit and I would look next door. In this case, it's a 2, so I'm going to round down. So that would be 12.37. Rounding down, notice the number doesn't go down. It stays the same. Okay, 4 or less, let it rest is like the rhyme people used to remember it. So a couple quick examples. Here I'm rounding to the nearest tenth. So here's the tenths place. I'm looking next door. This is an 8, so I'm going to round up. This would be 34 right? This is going up 1. Round to the nearest tenth, look next door. In this case, it's 4 or less, so I'm going to let it rest. Right here, I'm rounding to the nearest tenth. Okay, notice what happens here. Okay, something a little tricky. I'm going to round this 9 up. Well, how do I round a 9 up? Well, I round it to 10, so that means I actually have to end up rounding this one up. So this would be 87.0, right? I kind of rounded it to 10. I added 1 here, and then I put this is like basically the 1 and the 0 on the 10, so I added the 1 there. Okay, rounded to the nearest hundredth. This is the hundredths place right here, so I look next door. In this case, it's less than 4 or less, so I'm going to keep it the same. Round to the nearest hundredth. This is 5 or more, so I'm going to round up. Here's the hundredths place. This is 5 or more, so I'm going to round up. Okay, so a couple quick examples, and you're going to try this out real quick.